Let's get to another very important news that hit the headlines yesterday. The World Economic Forum released its Global Competitiveness Index, and India has been the fastest riser in the rankings. Doesn't make us very good, but it is making us good much better than what we were last year and the year before. We have moved up 16 places to the 39th place out of 138 countries. But mind you, this is only on competitiveness. On several others, we rank 100 or even over 100 in the rank of 139 countries. Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, the Chairman and Managing Director of Biocon, and TV Mohandas, both joining us on the phone lines from Bengaluru, the one city which, of course, stands tall when it comes to competitiveness. Good morning to both of you. Thank you very much for joining us. Kiran, you go first. What's really changed for you in India?
Well, I think, obviously this is good news for India, because I think the signals it has sent in terms of, GST, in terms of, cleaning up the nationalized banks, in terms of NPAs. So I think fiscal and monetary policies have been very welcomed by the outside world, and especially by WEF. And I think that has seen our rankings improve. In terms of, ease of doing business, I still think we have a long way to go. I think you can see that on the infrastructure front, we don't really rank very high. Public health is a big major worry for me. I think it's highly underinvested. And if you look even in terms of our technology preparedness, I don't think we're that high in the ranking. That's another area where I think India has to leverage technology in a much bigger way. Okay. Yes, I think a lot is being done, but I think a lot more has to be done. Moreover, I think one of the biggest challenges the Indian economy faces is about jobs and growth. And I think in this respect, unless we focus very strongly on privatization in a big way, I don't think the growth needle is going to move. So those are some of my comments when it comes to this particular competitiveness index.
Fair point. Actually, Kiran, you put your finger on it. The fiscal improvement, the very fact that the deficit has been brought under control and monetary policy being way more transparent, and now getting perhaps more transparent and broad-based with a monetary policy committee is what the WEF has commented on. Those are huge institutional improvements. But Mr. Mohandas, you have waxed eloquent several times on the pathetic quality of Indian primary education, and now Kiran has spoken about health as well. Do you think the next few steps in competitiveness is not going to be easy?
No, I think it's going to be easy, Lata. Let me explain why. First of all, much of the data that goes into the World Competitive Report from India is very flawed. For example, formal jobs. There are 10 crore formal jobs in India. Yesterday I had a call with some senior government officials where I showed them all the data. The data given by the government of India is wrong. If you look at the Employee Provident Fund, the National Pension Scheme, the ESI, and other data, you find that the jobs growth has been pretty good. And then they say jobless growth. Two, they talk about differential VAT rates in different states. Now, we are a federation. You can't compare Singapore with India. India is a subcontinent, 1.35 billion people.
But,
Singapore is half the size.
Mr. Pai, for a citizen and for a foreigner, it doesn't matter that you are a federation. It is making life difficult when you are a businessman.
Lata, let me explain. You stay in Singapore, which is a city-state. You stay in Bangalore, you look at the taxes, they're pretty good. You stay in Karnataka, it is pretty good. You stay in a physical location. You don't stay in a big country. You don't stay in Bihar when you stay in India. You stay in Karnataka. Anyway, that's the point. See, my first point is, first, India needs to have a group within Niti Aayog. We look at all these reports, look at all the data, update the data, and give the latest data from various sources so that we are ranked on par with everybody. Then it can be okay. And if you look at technological progress, 110, it depends on the spread of the internet. All right? There are only 250 million people out of 1.35 billion people. But 250 billion people is the third largest in the world in terms of the internet penetration. If you look at Singapore and say 5 million people and do 100% internet, there's no competition. But I will say that in primary education and in many areas, Our challenge now is quality. We have brought in equity to a great extent. We have brought in access to a great extent. We must improve the quality, and that's where we must focus. So getting good data, looking at all these parameters and making sure all the databases are right, and then focus attention on a few of them, we take India far. Going up 16 places in 1 year is a result, in my view, of better data, not some magic wand that has been done in the last 1 year. This is just for 1 year, right?
Yes.
1 year go 16 places just because it gives better data and some areas of improvement. So I think it's pretty good news, and we have a long way to go. And the fact that each state is now doing something like a competitive report, something like ease of business is fantastic, because we'll see progress with each state competing, and for that the NDA government should be complimented.
Okay.
And on the ground, like Kiran said, policies at the center and state are good. On the ground, the implementing officers are still way behind the curve, and that is something the government has to tackle. I'll give you one example, Lata. There was a problem about getting company names. Now, company names are given within 24 hours because a centralized portal has been set up by MCA. It's a fantastic work by MCA.
Yes. No, I take your point that the MCA is what 5 lakh companies of database has clearly improved even data collection. But Anuj,
Yeah, but Kiran, good morning. Since you also represent the health section of the economy, just wanted your thoughts on what needs to be done in this space, because this is where we're clearly lacking. I mean, in 21st century to have deaths from dengue and chikungunya, clearly that
and
does
malnutrition.
not, and malnutrition, that clearly does not present a good picture.
I mean, have we become a sicker country? It's very good that we have become more competitive, but haven't we become a sicker country, Kiran?
I don't think we have become a sicker country. It's just that, as Mohan very rightly said, we are getting more data available than in the past. And that data is sort of ringing alarm bells. So I think it's very clear that, malnutrition, women's health, NCDs, all this data is showing us how huge the challenge is. And we've done a very, very shoddy job of primary healthcare in the country. I really believe that we need to focus on primary healthcare in a much bigger way. It is hugely underinvested. I mean, you've shown a lot of TV documentaries on how pathetic conditions are in primary health centers in Orissa and many other poorer states. Some states are doing better than others. But, basically, I think this is a sector that needs focus. This is a sector that needs investment. And there has to be a policy of right to healthcare and basic healthcare, at least at a certain economic level. That is something which we need to focus on. We are spending less than 1% of our GDP on healthcare. And this is abysmally low. So we keep talking about trebling it, but we haven't seen that happening.
Okay.
So I think this is an area where we really need to focus on. But, apart from healthcare, I go back to privatization in a much bigger way.
Okay.
Whether it is clean drinking water, whether it is power and energy, I think the private sector has to be incentivized and brought into investing in these particular sectors, which are going to be extremely important for India's growth.
Yep. Well, Kiran,
that is very important. I mean, railways itself, there is a huge, effort now to privatize railways. We've talked about privatizing the railway stations. It's been talked. We haven't implemented it. I think the
Fair point,
biggest
Kiran.
problem, as Mohandas Pai said, is policies are great, but until they are implemented effectively, they are just worth their words on paper.
okay.